Okay. If anybody is still out there and cares, can you see me now? It's probably not going to be the best resolution. Let's see if anybody bites. Hello. Do you hear me? Do you see me? Is there anyone out there? I can finally see myself. That's good. I don't know. Oh, come on. What is this? Come on. What is this? Crying out loud. Hi, Simon. No, I'm not trying to work out issues. I don't know why it keeps going dark. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm trying to figure this out. Ah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to work it out, Simon. How are you? How's the family? I hope things are better or getting better. Ooh, three. There was a two. Now it's three. And then it's a two. Oh, come on. It says I'm alive, but there's no one here. I can't see anything. Damn it, what's wrong with this thing? How about that? Do you see me now? Hello? All right, finally. Okay, it literally just took tapping the top of the computer. Ay, ay, ay. Takes me back to my. Yes, thank you, Brian. It's nice to be seen, even if this isn't exactly the best resolution. I'll take what I can get. It's like being back in school again for my IT degree. It's a headache, which is why I left. Which is why I left that major eventually. Oh, okay. Let me see. What was the conversation last time? Oh yes, I believe Brian, you'd asked me about the Joker. Yeah, as I said, I'm not big on guest characters in video games. Generally speaking, some games that's kind of the appeal, but for me, I'm not all that interested. So I'm not really gonna have content on Joker. Oh, good, Simon. I mean, as I'm glad to hear that the service was nice. I mean, in a it's always hard. At least for me, it's hard. It's like how do you inquire about somebody when there's been a tragedy, right? But I'm glad to know that the service was well, and hopefully things will improve for you and your loved ones. And thank you, Brian, for the positive wishes for my own family. Um, my family members should be coming home tomorrow, but with the hospital, you never know with these things. They say one day and then they switch it off or something happens. I've sort of learned over the years to just sort of roll with it and to not be overly dependent or reliant on what they say because they tend to lie. To be honest, aren't we all lagging, Simon? Aren't we all lagging? Hey, Miss Raina 1000. Hey. How are you? Ay, ay, ay. So, for those who may be coming in and wondering what this is about, I'm doing a test stream to see if I can actually live stream. Yeah, Yeah, right? It's officially a party. Yeah, so I'm just testing this. It probably won't be on too much longer. But if you guys want to talk, you have any questions, let me know. Miss Raina, oh goodness. The question of am I fine is always a hard one to answer. I'm getting by. I'm getting by. Like the old song, I get by. Let me see here. See, I'm not accustomed to. Where's the booze? You can't have a party without booze. Ah, you see, that's where you and I differ. I actually prefer. Uh, I'm not much of a drinker, so I can't help you there, Miss Reina. What's the upcoming debate about again? Yeah, I know it's been a few days, right? It's been a while. Um, to sum it up, I'm gonna get in contact with Ethan Van Sciver and see when he can live stream. And the debate is basically going to be over his being, in my opinion, a bully and a jerk to Nerdette's newsstand, and then him um, not condemning the false flagging that she endured about a week or two ago, right? So that's basically it. Lightweight. I'm a lot of things, Miss Raina. Lightweight is not it. I just don't like to drink all that much. Interestingly enough, since you brought it up, I actually went on a self-imposed challenge last year to not consume alcohol, and I am glad to report that I did not drink. I did not drink any alcohol last year. Old Duels is a godsend because I was severely tempted. But yes, to answer Brian Mitchell's question, it's basically about Ethan's behavior towards Nerdette's newsstand. I just want to get it done over. He wanted to invite me on his live stream. I declined. Yeah, yeah, that's basically it. That's how I view it, to be honest with you, Brian. I think he was a bully and that he allowed at least one person, because Nerdette said it was two, but one person, I'm just going to call him Ted Z, because I'm not in the mood to deal with his BS, but he claims that he didn't do it. He didn't do anything wrong. I tell him several times that if the information's wrong, take it to YouTube, but he wants to just talk smack instead of actually, taking it to YouTube. So what do you expect? But yeah, it's basically me. At least that's my intention, is to call out Ethan for bullying her, in my estimation. So hey, Miss Raina, this happened about a week or so ago, maybe almost 2 weeks. But basically, to try to sum it up, and you can check Nerdette's Newsstands channel, but she put out two videos about Ethan and Comicsgate. And well, if you're getting it 3 minutes late, at least one good thing is that it's there. You'll catch up. You'll catch up, Simon. But to address Miss Raina's question, if you check Nerdette's Newsstands video, you're going to see, or channel, you're going to see two videos on Comicsgate and her interactions with them. One where she had a disagreement with Ethan, and the other one where, according to her, two members of Ethan's audience. I want to call it Ethan's audience because not all of Comicsgate belongs to Ethan Van Sciver, right? But I would say that it's certainly fractured now because of his antics. But at least one person from his channel false flagged her, right? So it's basically about that. It's basically about that situation, if that makes any sense at all. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in a few hours. Okay, okay. Hi, Miss Raina. Did he condemn them for that? No, not really. Not really. I directly went to. Thanks, Bryant. Thanks for the assist. To Miss Raina. No, Ethan did not condemn the one confirmed person. I want to say confirmed because that person, Sigma or Stigma, something like that, Centurion, did admit to it, admitted to everybody and their mother that he did it, that he false flagged her. But no, Ethan never condemned it. What he did was he did the whole "I'm not responsible for my audience" excuse. And then when he and I started going back and forth in the comments section of one of his videos, and then me and Tristan pretty much just kept pressing him about it. And eventually on Twitter, he put a very generic, in big letters, "I do not condone false flagging" statement without ever actually stating this person did this, please don't do that. That's what Ethan did. At least last I checked. Go get food. You're not you when you're hungry. I'm a Snickers bar apparently. Or are you saying I'm a diva? I'm from New York City. Divadom's kind of part of the attitude. So anything else? Any other questions? Ah, hate it when the internet isn't good, but this is what happens. Hopefully it'll be better, Simon. Hopefully it'll be better. Eventually this will be a regular video, so you'll be able to watch it there. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens, Brian. Brian says, "Why does everything gate make me wish I never heard of it?" Because it's the sad truth, you know. I mean, there is tribalism, and it's like anything else. Yeah, comics gate, gamer gate. Well, here's what happens. Here's what I've noticed. Like, much like a religion or anything else, you know, you have a bunch of people who come together at first for a common goal, and then as more people join in, people with different intentions, people with different goals, who have different ideas of what the end goal should be, right? And then naturally, there's going to be disagreements. Oh, I got a like. Thank you, whoever did that. Then there's going to be disagreements, and people are going to say, no, it's about this, and no, it should be about that. And the values change. People come, people go. And what happens is that, you know, as with everything, be it the church, the Roman Empire, or these gates, there's a schism. And this is what happens, right? There is OG Comics Gate, which would be, I would say, more the critic side of things. Guys like Doug Ernst, Captain Cummings isn't really in it anymore, so it isn't fair to mention him. But Doug Ernst, I Love Comics, even Diversity in Comics to a degree, but he sort of has like both. He has like one foot in like both parts of it because he works with Ethan, but he also still does reviews, which is something Ethan has panned recently. He has stated recently that he feels that if you're still reviewing mainstream comics like Marvel, DC, and all that, that you're effectively harassing them since apparently they didn't listen to us. As Tristan noted in her video, they have listened in some ways, and even if they weren't listening, I don't think there's anything wrong with honest critique. How does an artist get any better if they're not critiqued, if they're not told by the fans what works and what doesn't work? All right, Blue Wind. Nice to see you. Do you plan on reviewing CG comics? Have you backed any independent or CG comic projects? Good question, Miss Reyna. At present, I've only backed one. I backed Diversity in Comics, Destructoid's motto. That's a bunch of acronyms. I don't know more. I'm just saying. But to get back to Miss Reyna, um, I backed Jawbreakers, and I did read it, or at least some of it. Unfortunately, I ended up losing the two copies of it that I had. One loss was totally my own fault. I ended up leaving it somewhere absentmindedly. The second one, I can't talk about too much because there might be legal action at some point. But to make a long story short, while being painfully vague, I apologize. I was caught up in a very sudden disaster last year around June, around early June, like late May, early June. And pretty much all of my possessions, well, really all of my family's possessions, right, was lost in the disaster. We were lucky to escape with our lives. And sadly, the comic book was one of the casualties. There was no saving it. So all I have is the brief amount that I read and memories of it. If you guys want, I can tell you, right? I can give you a review right now and tell you what I thought of it, if you guys are interested in that. Oh, good. There's 8 people. 8 people and 2 likes. I am kind of enjoying this. I get to kick back and relax a little. Okay, so what did? Oh, now I have a third like. It's starting to get addicting. But anyway, what did I think of Jawbreakers? Overall, the little bit of it that I did read, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Blue Wind. Yeah, this is just kind of like a test run. I'm not sure I'm going to be doing this regularly. This is just because I have a debate coming up with Ethan Van Skype. We have to get that scheduled. So this is more of a technical or practical thing, but we'll see what happens. Hey, Anthony Dixon. Hi. Hey, Joel. All right. So for those who just joined, I was asked by, I believe it was Miss Reina, right, who asked me about Comicsgate Comics and if I had backed any. And I was talking about that I had backed Jawbreakers by Diversity in Comics, and I'm just going to give a brief overview of what I remember of it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was 3 stories. It was the main story, Jawbreakers Lost Souls. It was the Jawbreakers Part 1 or something. It was a story that he had done a few years earlier. That was sort of like the middle story. And then there was story 3. I think it was called Jawbreakers Part 2 or something. So it's like Lost Souls, Jawbreakers Part 1, Jawbreakers Part 2. Yeah, I've heard of Micah Curtis. I know him principally as a YouTuber. I don't quite agree with him, and I've seen him be a bit of a jerk in other people's videos, those who are not critical of Comicsgate. So I actually stopped following him recently. But I do know that he has a comic book called Inglewood, and I hope that he does well. But I have no interest in it or in his content. Yeah, Blue Wind. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. The funny thing is that to address Blue Wind's point, uh, for those who may not know, Funimation basically turned its back on voice actor um, Vic Mignogna. Right, Vic has basically been accused of stuff he did not do. No one's provided any solid proof. He's been accused of sexual harassment and being a predator and sexual misconduct. And Monica Rial who still works at Funimation, accused him of attempted rape, but then the one guy she claimed witnessed it says he doesn't know what she's talking about. So it's a crazy thing. But yeah, Funimation is pretty much, thrown him under the bus, and then they took the bus and drove over him, basically. But yeah, I can't even bring myself to watch like Yu Yu Hakusho in English anymore. And I hate that because honestly, that's a damn good dub. Funny did an amazing job with the dub on that series. I cannot take that away from them, but I can't listen to it anymore, especially knowing that Chris Saba played a major prominent character in Kuwabara. I'm not in the mood to hear his voice at all. Speaking of that, did you? Well, this is from Anthony Dixon. Did you watch the Vic Unlocked stream video by I can't get it out right. Kurono, where he called some VAs out. I didn't see that video per se, Anthony, but I did hear about it. I have been following channels like Come Geek Some and Hero Hey, so I have heard about it in a sense in like what is it, kind of like secondhand. So yes, I am aware that he called some VAs out. In particular, Vic stated, at least to my knowledge, from what the reporters, well, what the reports I should say are saying, is that Vic said in a video clip that Sean Schimmel never liked him, and that Vic believes, right? Vic states that it's because Vic is Christian and he's open about his religious faith. So that's interesting. I'm wondering how Sean is going to respond to that very public accusation, right? Not just to the fact that he doesn't like Vic. I think everybody at this point knows that, but also to the idea that it isn't because of necessarily Vic's behavior, which is what Sean and Sonny Strait and others have been saying is their issue with him, but Vic's accusation that the issue is a matter of religious faith, right? It's one thing to hate a person or dislike them because of how they behave. It's another one to dislike them because of what they believe in. So we'll see how Sean responds to that. I personally think Sean Schimmel is a coward, and I would tell him to his damn face. But that's just me. Hey, Bianca Fights the Zombies. How are ya? Miss Raina, I've looked at Englewood. Looks good, but I backed a lot of, Sweet Cast and Malin. Yeah, I saw Malin stuff, Graveyard Shift. I think he said something. It's like, I think he said it was like X-Men. X-Men meets like horror movie characters. The way I saw it, the little bit I did see of it, it's like X-Men meets like Darkstalkers. If you remember that old video game, there's just one problem. I'm generally not a big fan of horror. So like, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. Like I don't like vampires, but I like Hellsing. There's always exceptions, but generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of horror or like horror movie monsters like zombies and mummies and Frankenstein and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's like he has me like on one part with the X-Men, and then I'm like, but it's movie monsters. I'm not much into movie monsters. Yeah. To be fair, I am a very hard sell. I'm very hard to impress. It's like I don't require much, but I like what I like, and movie monsters aren't it. But I do hope John Malin's comic does well. Believe it or not, despite my ideological differences with Ethan and with his side of Comicsgate, the war campaign, or whatever they want to call themselves, I do sincerely hope that their online indie push does well. I don't want them to fail or anything. I don't wish them any sort of harm in that regard. I just don't think they should be acting like tools and harassing other people, and basically being a-holes just because somebody has a disagreement with them. And then when you call them out on it, they suddenly want to act like they don't understand why you're upset. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it, at least in my opinion, you can't have it both ways. Oh, do I watch anime? Let's see here. I haven't backed money myself. Money's tight. Oh, come on, computer, not again. There we go. Oh, Miss Reina. I hope that your comic does well. Interestingly enough, um, my brother, my brother Jesse is an independent comics creator. If you've ever heard of a comic called The Elemental Conductors, that's him. So it's not impossible. Believe me, out of all the things I thought that my brother would do, make comics is not it. He never expressed an interest. He was always the artist, but now he's suddenly a writer. Stuff happens. Don't give up. Yes, thank you, thank you. Yes, Anthony, I do hope that Vic wins the appeal soon. But here's the thing: I hope he does to send a message. But Vic's career is over as we know it, right? You can't. It's been 20 years, right? You can't gain that back. What's worse is that, in my opinion, at least, his trust in people, right, has been crushed. Like, whether it doesn't matter whether he goes back to Funimation or Rooster Teeth or any place else. After this, how do you trust anybody in the industry again? It's not as if the people who were accusing him were new to him. These were people that he knew and worked with for like over a decade. How do you ever trust again? What comics are you or were you into? Yeah, yes, Miss Raina, that's him. That's him. That's my brother. He makes the family proud. What comics are you or were you into? I I like my classic '80s, some '90s. I like stuff like I'm a huge Claremont era '80s X-Men fan. She-Hulk, when written by John Byrne back in the late '80s. Uh, the Miss Marvel run from 2006 to 2010 that was written by Brian Reed. I legit think that's the last good Carol Danvers story that was written, because right after that, they rebooted her in 2012 with Kelly Sue DeConnick. She became Captain Marvel, and then everything went to hell. It's basically what happened. I believe someone earlier had asked me about my favorite anime. As you may have guessed by this point, I am ridiculously dated and old school. But some of my favorite anime and oftentimes manga, Yu Yu Hakusho, Full Metal Alchemist to me is the best manga I've ever read. It's like, for me, there's FMA and then everything else. That story, I've read it several times over. It amazes me each time. Um, what else? I like my action stuff. I like my action stuff. Um, ay, ay, ay. It depends on my mood. I've read funny stuff like Gokusen. It was kind of like a slice of life about a teacher who is like the granddaughter of like a yakuza boss and stuff like that. It all depends. It all depends on the mood I'm in. Oh yes, right. Blue Wind, Blue Wind. You read my mind. Yes, I actually have watched some Rising of the Shield Hero. More importantly, I have read the first volume of the light novel of Rising of the Shield Hero. That is amazing. That's a great story. That is a great story. I love that message of coming, especially with Nafumi's situation, right? He starts out a normal kid, a normal guy. Suddenly, he's in like medieval Europe, and he's being accused of a crime that he didn't commit, and everything, and its mother is against him, and he's forced into a really bad place physically and emotionally. But the dude just keeps persevering, and I love how the story shows that everything that people throw at him, whether it's accusations, whether it's taking stuff away from him, like the adversity. Not that you want to go through something like that; it's awful, right? But the adversity actually ends up making him stronger because he learns from it. He learns skills that other people, like the other heroes, like that idiot Motoyasu. Oh God, I can't stand him. um, overlook and bypass because they're more concerned about looking cool, whereas uh, Nafumi is literally just trying to survive to the next day. It's a great. I'm actually going to do a review about on that at some point. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. I love it. It's the one modern thing I'm reading now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Ah yes, Bryant mentions a few things. Cowboy Bebop. It was too dark for me, and I like dark stuff, but there was such a sense of hopelessness I couldn't get into it. Fully, I couldn't get into that either. It was weird. I couldn't get into it. Go. Yes, I love Ghost in the Shell. I'm much more of an anime person with that one though. But like Standalone Complex, great show. I love it. The World, the Real Girls. Don't know what that's about. When do you think the SJW era will end? Oh yeah, Wonder Twins. Bianca fights the zombies is talking about the Wonder Twins. Yeah, the MJ Tanner, those twins, they review that, right? So if you're interested in what they think, go check them out. When do I think this SJW era will end? I actually hate to use the term SJW because it stands for Social Justice Warrior, and I actually do make a study of like warrior culture and like warrior values, and SJWs don't have them, so it really pisses me off to like use that term. When will that era end? I honestly don't know. I like to believe sooner rather than later, right? But at least at present, it seems like Hollywood and everything still wants to embrace wokeness, which is sad because wokeness is such a perversion, in my opinion, and bastardization of diversity. I don't think diversity is wrong. I've made several videos about it. Diversity isn't wrong. I'm a literal product of diversity. My parents are not of the same ethnicity, right? Diversity is, how do I put it? SJWs have such a perverse understanding of it, and it's so surface level. That's what drives me nuts about them. Whether it's diversity, whether it's strength, whether it's women, whether it's action or whatever, it is such a surface level understanding. Oh, a strong person beats up stuff. No, there are so many different types of strength that a person can embody. Being able to throw punches does not make you strong. It just means that you know how to throw punches. That's all it means. Being able to knock someone out is not a sign of strength because it depends on why you're knocking them out. If you're doing it to protect another person, then yes, that's an honorable thing. If you're doing it because you're an abusive asshat, no, you don't have strength at all. You lack self control, and you're abusing someone, and that is deplorable. I was a fan of Sailor Moon back when I was in middle school. I wasn't even aware it was a girly anime. Oh, come on, computer. Not this again. There we go. I actually remember Sailor Moon when I was like a little kid, like 6 years old. It used to air on like Channel 11 here in New York. I remember getting ready for like school in like 6:30 in the morning as a little girl, and I wouldn't really watch it because again, lifelong tomboy, so shojo, girly anime wasn't really going to work for me. But dear God, every morning getting ready for school, hearing that theme song stuck in my head, right? Winning love by daylight. La da 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 da. La da da, my real fight. Da 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 da. Sailor Moon. To this day, I'm like, Europe. Yeah, I don't think the SJW types could really survive a war. Bianca fights the zombies, be it as soldiers, as fighters, or even as civilians. They're not. They're too. They don't know what actual oppression or adversity is, right? Having to pay $5 for like a Starbucks coffee is not adversity. It's overpriced, but it's not adversity. Yes, that's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying, Anthony. Yes, I agree with you. If it happens organically, I've got no problem with it. But these days, they just stuff it in there. Just stuff it down your throat. Have you watched Banana Fish? Never heard of it. I might give it a try. We'll see. Tenchi Muyo. I knew a few people when I was growing up who liked Tenchi Muyo. It's not something I really got into. The whole harem thing, which actually is kind of featured in certain elements of Rising of the Shield Hero, but it's not the focus, right? This is probably why it doesn't bother me in that. But yeah, yeah, that type of thing just didn't really appeal to me. Oh, come on. All right. At least a quick tap isn't a easy fix. Oh, oh my goodness. My goodness. I grew up in Mississippi. My elders told me about. Yeah, yeah. Interestingly enough, while my family is a bunch of Northerners, bunch of Yankees, although I don't think any of us are from the Bronx. Interestingly enough, but we actually have roots in the South. From what I'm told, my maternal grandfather was born in Georgia, and he and his wife, my maternal grandmother, who actually I'm named after. My mother named me after her mother, and yeah, they spent time down in North Carolina before moving up to New York City. And my mother, on occasion, will tell stories about like going to visit her grandmother and her aunts and uncles and whatnot who were still in North Carolina. So there's we're Northerners, but we have Southern roots. And my grandfather used to do um, Sunday dinner, a huge Sunday dinner every Sunday for many years. It's one of the standout memories that I have of my early childhood in the early 1990s. Sailor Moon was my second gateway. Sailor Moon was my second gateway to anime. My first was Dragon Ball, then Gundam. I never really got to see Gundam. I know of it, but I never really saw it. Uh, I would say my first, if anything, was a gateway drug to anime. For me, it was probably again Sailor Moon, even though I didn't really enjoy it personally. But honestly, probably the original Dragon Ball. I came to kind of lose interest in DBZ and just the whole thing as the years got on. Like by the time they had like DBZ and like Boo destroyed Earth, I was done. I was absolutely done with the series after that. I'm like, you lost. He destroyed Earth. This is over now. Why is there another episode? But yeah, that was my intro to anime. The original Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon's some of the earliest anime that I remember seeing. That and probably the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, which honestly a 9-year old should not be seeing, especially with that shower scene. I was shocked to find out that Jesus Christ, come on. I was shocked to find out that DBZ is still popular with the kids today, parents and their jeez. What is with this thing? There we go. I was shocked to death means yeah, that's kind of what honestly irks me about DBZ, Miss Reina. It's like I I understand that again, first of all, there's like influences of like Buddhism and all that because it is Japanese in nature. So there is a cultural and religious thing that's sort of influencing it. But at the same time, it's like, can death mean something in this show, please? It's like death is just a vacation. It's like Goku just, runs on Snake Way and he trains with King Kai. It's like, can you really call it death? It just seems like he just went to a different a different realm. It's like he just went to like the nice part of town. Not that he died and left the family behind. A wife with kids, who she now has to raise on her own. I wish at times that had they made the death a little more permanent, it could have really, um, uh, I guess, brought home again, just the Chi Chi being a single mom, having to raise her kids alone without their father for a good chunk of their life. Jeez, what's this thing? But the story's already been written. But I wish they had made the death a little more permanent, a little more. But that's just me. Oh yeah, Gundam Wing. Yeah, DBZ. I think DBZ is popular with kids today and their parents because I think it has a similar appeal that Star Wars once had. Believe it or not, in that it's a very generational thing, right? You have Goku and you have his grandfather. Well, yeah, yeah, Grandpa Gohan, right? And you have Master Roshi and all that, right? Then Goku grows up, he starts a family of his own, and then during that, you get Vegeta, and he starts a family, and he changes, and then Gohan grows up, and he starts a family. It's a very generational thing, so it allows people to be invested in it while still appealing to younger people with the kid characters or younger characters, but still keeping the original fan base still involved. So good on DBZ for that. I never thought it was going to last nearly as long as I've been alive. Oh, come on. My coworker and I both understand Dragon Ball basically a soap opera for boys. Episodes move so slowly that you can miss a few episodes and not be lost and follows all the tropes. Yeah, yeah, a lot of anime from that time is like that. Yu Yu Hakusho, for example, is like that. I think a lot of shonen manga and anime in general are basically soap operas for boys, which is why it kind of irks me whenever, and even in comics, right? It irks me whenever people say stuff like, "Oh, men don't like romance." I'm like, do you know a thing about Batman's love life? How in the world are you saying this? Men may not like romance in the overt sense the way women typically do. That doesn't mean that they don't like romance. They just like it expressed in a different way, and it's not as the focus of a story typically. Nothing wrong with that. Blue Wind. Uh, Come on. Hey, I love. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, Anthony. This is what I'm saying. I think it lost. Blue Wind says, I think it lost the meaning of death because of Dragon Ball Super. Blue Wind, it lost the meaning of death long before Dragon Ball Super. Again, Boo destroyed Earth. It lost the meaning of death at that point, in my opinion. But that's just me. That's just me. Yeah. And going back to romance and comics, I mean, part of life is romance. Part of the human experience is life and sex and romance and family and all this other stuff. And comics touch upon all those things. I think at least every well written, in my personal opinion, I think that nearly every well written story, whether it be um, an American comic, an action comic, a shoujo anime, manga, whatever it is, any type of story, even stuff like songs and whatnot. If you look at it, it's a love story in some fashion. Even something as ultraviolet as Helsing ended with what? Count Dracula coming back to his female master. Come on. Come on. Spider-Man, hold my web shooters. Come on. Come on. There we go. Spider-Man, hold my web shooters. Yeah, that one too, right? Mary Jane, Black Cat, Jesus, what's her name? Gwen Stacy, so many, so many. The Romance of Wally and Linda in 90s Flash, one of the best. Exactly, exactly, Simon. I don't think men mind at all when it's written well. When it's written well. In my opinion, someone says, in most cases, right? Because you got to take context into account, but someone says, oh, men don't like romance. It's like, you don't know how to write a romance. That's your problem. You don't know how to write one. And you're just trying to beg off. Blue Arc is a big offender, but I still like it. Oh, that's fine, Blue Wind. If you like it, you like it. That's perfectly fine. I'm not saying it was bad. It just wasn't for me. It just again that Boo arc, especially again with the destruction of Earth, it just stretched my suspension of disbelief too far. It's like you have asked me to you know explain or wave away so many things. Like okay, this I cannot do this. Right? I cannot wave away this one. This line and no further. That was my line. It's like, okay, Earth is gone. I am done with this now. I mean, if men and women, Anthony says, I mean, if men and women can like sexually attractive female superheroes, men and women can like sexually male superheroes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. But I think it's more than that. I think that, how do I put it? Like the whole sexism debate, right? Whether it be in comics or video games and whatnot, it's predicated on the idea that men are basically lunkheads with their third member in their hand, just wanking off to the side of a pretty girl. And I'm like, I'm not gonna say that attraction and stimulation are not part of the appeal, but I think it really does a disservice to paint an entire gender as just being, again, sex-driven lunkheads and nothing else. I mean, again, I grew up with men, grew up with male friends, being a tomboy, and at least from what I saw of guys, yes, they liked girls like, or they crushed on girls like Chun Li or Cammy or Lara Croft, but it wasn't just because they were attractive and had amazing bodies. It was because they had interesting personalities, whether it's Lara Croft, as Leanna likes to say, being mad, bad, and dangerous to know, or whether it's Chun Li having a very sweet personality, but also having this fierce side to her. The guys, at least the ones I knew, I can't speak for every man, I probably shouldn't speak for any man, but at least the men I knew, right? Even my own brother, right? Whenever he expressed an interest in female characters, it wasn't just because of her body. It was usually also, it was probably more in many instances, her personality, right? And the pretty body is a bonus. At least that's the way I see it. Hit wall, exactly. Yeah. Even Superman had a limit to his power, but not Goku. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Attractive. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, even the idea of attractiveness, a person can be attractive in body and personality. You can love or lust for someone because of their mind or their smile. It's very complex, and you have these people who want to try to just boil everything down and just water it down and just go, oh, just men meathead, women even more meathead, but perfect. That is not interesting to me. I swear, reading these comics, I want to hit a wall at times. My poor knuckles. Poor knuckles. All right, but I don't know about y'all, but it's like 1:30. It's been about 50 minutes. I have very much enjoyed talking to you all, but I really am hungry, and it's way too early in the morning for me. I got stuff to do and prep for, so I will see y'all around. I thought this may be like 10 minutes and turned into almost 50, so a little over 50 actually. As is most of my videos, right? I always say, I'm going to be brief, and then I ramble for a half hour. So y'all know me. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on, whether you commented or didn't. Thank you. Thank you for the likes, and I will see y'all around. So have a good weekend, everybody. And whether it be live stream or video, I'll see y'all around. Bye. You seem so nicely spoken. Most of the time. Most of the time. Yes, it did hold out. Constant taps to the top of the uh, laptop, but yes, it for the most part held out. All right. Aloha and mahalo. I'm guessing that's Hawaiian. Yeah. Ciao. Ciao, baby. So anyway, see y'all around.